Deputy Morphy arrives at the small Florida home where a domestic disturbance has been reported. A white van sits half in the carport and the doors are wide open. He parks in front of it just in case. He knocks on the door to the carport, and an old, disheveled man answers, steps through the doorway, and quickly closes the door behind him. The man reeks of alcohol. His clothes are askew. The fly of his shorts is open. His shirt is unbuttoned, and a streak of blood on his stomach next to thin scratches. The man will not stop moving. He's jittery, he's nervous, he's rambling. He says it was just a small spat. His girlfriend is inside and she's fine. He tells the deputy he can leave. Then the phone rings. The old man stops abruptly and returns inside to answer the call, but forgets to close the door. Through the gap, Deputy Morphy sees the bloodied foot of a woman. The rest of her is just out of view. This is the brutal slaying of Roxanne Hayes. Well, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. It's like we just recorded the other day, and here we are yet again.
Back again.
It's a double record.
We gotta keep it going. Also, who are you? What is your name?
Oh, hi. I'm Emilio. Who are you? What's your name?
Oh, hello. I am Sergio, and I am the co-host of Your Next Podcast. Thank you for listening. This is my favorite time of the year.
Same.
Like, love wearing my sweaters. I'm going to go to a lot of pumpkin patches and cornfields.
Cute.
Apple cider donuts.
Horror
movies. I'm doing a 31 days of Halloween horror movies.
Is that what you've been posting on your story?
Yes, that's it. So it's a podcast called Nightmare on Film Street.
Cute.
It's their Instagram, and they put out a list of like different categories to pick from for each day. So that's what we've been following. So like categories, something like a sequel you haven't seen, or scarecrows, so you have to pick something that fits the topic. And it's been great. Cool. I've been doing it every day. Yeah. And like, I'm having a good mix of like movies I haven't seen and then like movies I really love.
Yeah.
That fit the topics. Highly recommend it.
Well, speaking of, if people want to get into that and see what you're actually talking about, what's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is really easy. It's the letter X as in X-ray, XD45.
Perfect.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is like 800 characters.
That also kind of dates me. Like I was there when Instagram began.
Yeah.
I could pick a 4-character name. Children, you have no idea.
Oh my God.
Okay, since it's going to be Halloween next week, do you have any spooky recommendations, whether that's movies, TV shows, books?
Shout out to my friend Lindsay. She told me it's on Netflix, this new show called Wayward Place, or just Wayward.
Ooh, with Toni Collette?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet because
it's on my list.
It's same because there's just so much going on right now. Maybe I'll watch it on our flight tomorrow. But that seems like a really good one because it's about cults, and it seems like it's a little bit of like conversion-y. That sounds interesting. But other than that, like my recommendations are like the classic John Carpenter Halloween movies, rewatching The Leprechaun with Warwick Davis, Pet Sematary. Like, yeah. What do you recommend?
I just saw Good Boy in the theaters 2 nights ago. Have you heard of this? So it's a horror movie told from the perspective of someone's dog. So like his owner is being haunted by something, and like it's all from the dog's perspective, and it is incredible. Like it was mesmerizing. The dog is so cute. I don't know, like just because it's a dog, or like when you have like a children protagonist, like immediately feel for them and immediately like want to protect them.
Right.
That's what I felt about this dog. Everything is so moody. Everything from like the lighting, the scenes, the setting, the music. Definitely haven't seen anything like it. It's just from like the point of view of a dog. All the shots are like dog level.
Oh, wow.
Highly recommend it. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Today's case is the second half of our intertwined victims, Mary Vincent and Roxanne Hayes. Both women suffered unspeakable violence at the hands of the same man decades apart. If you haven't listened to part 1, please do so now. Now. Like, we'll pause and we'll wait.
Now.
Now.
No, we'll wait.
Yep. Oh, great. Glad you're back. Our focus today is on Roxanne Hayes, a hardworking mother of 3, a devoted wife, and a sex worker who was murdered by Lawrence Larry Singleton, the same man who nearly 20 years before kidnapped and dismembered Mary Vincent. Our mission, as always, is to share the story of the people who suffered due to a crime and remind us that they are human, they deserve our empathy and attention, not the sensationalism of their attackers, which they can get fucked. They're not getting any of that here.
Absolutely. And I want to reiterate this because we did talk about it the last episode, that like if we're using the word prostitute, is to signify that that's how these people were trying to portray these victims.
Right.
Yeah, like not a word that we would use normally, not how we see these people, but like in court cases, especially from this time and unfortunately still currently,
yeah,
it's this dirty, like dehumanizing word. Like you're just a prostitute. Like it automatically implies like non-human,
you're less than,
or not important, less than. Yeah. So again, if we use that word, that's what that means. We're not condoning it.
In no way.
In no way. And it's particularly important for us in this case because unfortunately, Roxanne was dismissed by most of the public as just like a footnote in her own murder trial. The defense lawyers, they diminished her to a, quote, drug-using prostitute. Historically recorded, that's kind of what has been recorded. Like, there's almost no information on Roxanne Hayes, and everything that I've read is like, oh yeah, she was a prostitute who got murdered. And that's so wrong. And even her family was like, we don't want this to be the headline. Like it shouldn't be. Like, she was a person. She was a glorious, beautiful person. But, you know, lawyers got a lawyer, I guess. So they just diminished her to a drug-using prostitute. No one should be dehumanized for what they do.
Not at all.
And we will talk about it later, but she was surviving. She did it for her family. Like, it doesn't matter what she was doing it for. It's a job. So for this episode, we dug and tried to unearth as much of we can to show Roxanne as the kind, caring, beautiful person that she was, and she will not be overshadowed by Singleton's disgusting, vile ass.
Not in my house.
Exactly. So Roxanne was always described by those who loved her as a positive, kind, wild, loyal, and devoted mother. Teachers and neighbors described her as caring and supportive and determined. One teacher said that Roxanne never missed any of her daughter's school performances. She loved reading them bedtime stories, taking her children to the park, and making sure that their birthdays were always a special occasion. And that's like dear to my heart. Like, make people feel special.
Yes.
And a little more on Roxanne. She was born in the early 1960s, which is also kind of around the same time as Mary Vincent. She grew up in Tampa, Florida, and she also had kind of a chaotic childhood home. Her mother was rumored to have been a drug addict, and she later revealed that her grandfather had abused her. And yeah, so like she had to deal with that. But despite all this, she was a good student. She was a bit of a loner, which who cannot relate to that? Right. According to Clifford Tyson, who is the man that would later on become the love of her life and the father of her 2 children, he said, quote, she always used to complain that she had no friends, and then she'd go to parties and no one would dance with her.
Roxanne.
I know, but I was like, I know that pain. I get you. Like, I would be in the corner with you being like, I hate this party.
Yeah, fucking same.
No, I'm like, I feel like she would be the girl that I would meet outside smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
She's like,
she's so over it.
We both say we don't want to be here, but we're like secretly hoping someone asks us to dance.
Yeah.
But Roxanne, she persevered. She graduated from Hillsborough High School in 1984. She was determined to get out and support herself and her new baby girl, Akiana. And that was Roxanne's like pride and joy.
Of course. Unfortunately, her demons were at her heels. She stumbled, she started indulging in drugs, and an addiction that lasted nearly 10 years formed. Of course, sobriety came at a price. She was arrested for possession in 1986 and served about 2 years in prison. After her release in 1988, she was determined to get her life together for her and her small family. However, the world was hard for a single mother and even more restrictive when you have a criminal record, which, again, has never fucking changed.
But can also not imagine what it was like in 1988.
Fuck no. Not for me.
I just can't imagine. Like, because it's hard now, but like in that period, you were seeing like a fucking monster if you weren't mom of the year, you know?
Right.
Like, it's very harsh.
Oh, God, fucking society. So, of course, Roxanne struggled to find and keep legitimate work. She tried various jobs, including working as a bookkeeper, but she felt that she was forced to quit after her boss made multiple unwanted sexual advances. Ugh.
Exactly.
Men.
Another man ruining
some
this.
men. I know what. God damn it. Desperate to care for her daughter, she resorted to sex work. She worked on the same part of the city, East Hillsborough Avenue. In 1988, she met Clifford Tyson, and after an exhausting day, she asked Clifford to give her a ride. Roxanne quickly fell asleep in the car. Clifford waited while she rested, and when she woke up, they talked about their lives. He asked about her daughter, and he was instantly smitten and offered to take Roxanne to his sister's house so she could rest and recover for a few days. For a few days. What a gent.
It's so fucking cute. And it's like, this is real romance. Like, he did not care. He was just like, you're amazing. Mm-hmm. I like you. I want to help you. And it's just like this kind of unconditional love.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Thank you, Clifford, for being a good fucking person.
Yes. So naturally, with that, a romance bloomed. How could it not? And this sweet man who accepted her for who she was and helped unconditionally, they went on to have 2 sons together, Clifton and Malachi, about 4 years apart.
And then in 1996, Clifford, unfortunately, who was a truck driver, had a car accident. It left him injured and unable to withstand long drives, so he had to quit that job. He got a new job at a carpet and flooring company. However, the injury that he had from the accident later required a knee surgery that just pretty much left him unable to work.
Oh.
And that was kind of one of the catalysts. It made Roxanne the sole provider of the family. It was a difficult time, but again, they stayed united because Clifford is a fucking incredible person. And Roxanne, the unstoppable badass that she is, she was determined to make ends meet. She returned to sex work, and she worked from the same park bench every day while her kids were at school and daycare. She never stopped being perfect mom. And Roxanne was never ashamed of her work, which is one of my favorite things about her.
Yep.
A police officer who knew her said that, quote, she was straight up about what she did. She was on the street for her kids. Another sex worker who knew her, a friend of hers, she asked Roxanne once what she spent her money on. And Roxanne, without hesitation, said rent and diapers.
Roxanne was there for a job.
I'm like, that is the definition. Like, it's just like of her.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm here doing this job because I have to pay rent and I have to pay my baby's welfare. And then even after her death, Clifford, beautiful Clifford, described her spirit as follows. He said, quote, she had faith in humanity. She cherished life. She had a wild laugh. She would go into dumpsters to rescue stray kittens. She would lend money to anyone. Her children were her happiness. Ugh. It makes you want to cry. Like,
I'm seriously like,
I was too. Yeah, I was like welling up a little. I'm like, stop.
That is such a beautiful way to like top line someone's existence. And I mean, we were talking about like animal shelters earlier off mic, but like just going that extra step, like a girl after my own heart. Oh, Roxanne.
But just like having sympathy, sympathy for people and for just living creatures. Yeah. That's how I feel about Roxanne. And there's just, again, Clifford, like I'm in love with him. Just how wonderful and accepting he was. Like, this is just a job.
Yeah.
You know, she's getting it done. She's getting money.
I'm so sad that he had to have knee surgery, though. That is my biggest fucking fear.
Being out of commission.
Being out of commission, and not knee surgery itself, but let me just like knees in general. I hate knees. My husband can move his knee and it freaks me the fuck out. It is so disgusting.
Ew, yeah. That sounds weird. Like the kneecap, he can like move it around.
Yeah.
Ew.
Okay. So unfortunately, we kind of have to stop with all of that beautiful stuff about Roxanne, and now we have to make the transition into the case itself and what actually happened. So let's hunker down a little bit. We will get back to all of that in a little bit. But let's move forward.
And we are describing a murder.
Yeah.
Again, trigger warning, take care of yourself.
Yes, please do.
But here are the facts.
Yes. In February of 1997, Paul Histon and his uncle Robert were hired to paint the inside of Singleton's house. On the 19th, they returned to the house for touch-ups. He noticed Singleton's van out front, the doors ominously wide open with a roll of carpet or tar paper sticking out. Paul had been here before. He knew Singleton, who was at the time calling himself Bill, as this quiet old man who drank too much, which I see a Bill. I am part of you.
Well, I also knew this Bill of like old white man who drank too much and his wife was...
Yeah, we all know a Bill.
Lost.
Wait, what is that Alcoholic Anonymous thing? A friend of... Is it Bill?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about? A friend.
I forgot the like step 4 through 8. I'm sorry.
A friend of, it is a friend of Bill. You're so stupid.
Is it really? Like the name is Bill? No, that sounds right. Yeah.
Bill William Griffith Wilson. Also, that reminds me that I love that on cruises they have moments every single day for people to sit and be friends of Bill. I will not be attending. I will be on the other side of the bar.
Oh, like, wait. Are you saying they have AA meetings on the cruise?
It's a gathering. So like if you're, yes, they do.
Wow. No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm like, if I ever go on a cruise, I haven't yet, but if I ever go on a cruise, I plan to be drunk the entire time.
I don't abuse it. I take full advantage of my unlimited drink package.
Careful.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know a Bill.
Yes.
He, meaning Paul, he knocked on the carport door and entered the house. He saw it was in its usual state of disarray, which gross. The house was filthy and Singleton was always drunk, but he did note scattered pills from medications on the kitchen table, and the house smelled of alcohol. I can't imagine your house actually smelling. It's got to be like seeped into the carpet or like furniture or some shit, but like smelling it on someone is enough, but for the household to smell like it, ew.
I just imagine like this gross like hoarder situation.
Yeah, real seedy
like maybe
shit.
One room just have like knee-high empty bottles.
Oh, I believe it.
It just feels like one of those.
Stuck in the couch cushion too.
Never cleaned. You know, the only times he would go out was to get more. That's what it felt like he was describing. That he was just describing this kind of like gross old man.
Imagine if they had Uber Eats and DoorDash back then.
Making it too easy.
He would have like 9,000 trips a week. So Paul called out for Singleton and heard another voice weakly yelling out for help. He said it was a, quote, muffled sound, like a gurgling sound for help. Paul continued inward, and when he turned the corner to the living room, he found a bizarre and frightening sight. From the back of the couch, he saw Singleton completely naked between the legs of another person lying there out of view. At first, he thought they were just having sex, but he quickly realized Singleton was beating the other person. Paul ran out, told his uncle what he saw, and grabbed a shovel, intending to go back in, but his uncle stopped him. They went to the front window to look in and saw Singleton standing over Roxanne with his hands around her neck. They tried to kick the front door, but they couldn't get in. They then heard Roxanne crying for help a third time, and then Singleton said, "Shut up, bitch," and started to beat her on the head, neck, and chest. Paul said it sounded like, quote, chicken bones breaking.
That is so awful. Like, I'm so happy Paul was trying to go back in there to defend her.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want to save this for later because I know we have a section for this, but it's just, it's so frustrating because she wasn't dead yet.
Right. She was still fighting.
You know, I'm not saying that like Paul and his uncle did anything wrong, but it was like there was a chance and it just feels so awful inside.
I mean, and yes, to that point, I'm not blaming Paul. And I'm also, if he had a weapon, like, yes, his uncle stopped him, but why, like, the door, he already had access to the house. And if he could see Singleton enough from the posterior view and he didn't know he was there, like, that would be like all the more motive for me to go back in with this shovel and then like hit him over the head, do something to stop it, or like shatter their front window. Like I'm not blaming him again. I just can't imagine what state of mind and shock they might have went into. And
yeah. No, that's a very real thing because it's just like, we can't blame these people. We weren't in the situation. We don't know how we would actually react. In hindsight, we're always like, oh, well, you can go in there and defend this person.
Totally.
But who knows? I'm like, maybe in that situation, you would look inside and be like, that man probably has a gun or a knife.
Right.
Or you're just afraid that they're going to like immediately turn to you, kill you first, and then get back to what they're doing. Totally understand. It's just in hindsight, it's so frustrating.
Yes.
Especially in this
like
case.
Considering like Larry is such a raging alcoholic, like it absolutely probably could have gotten so much more worse, even though this is horrible.
I mean, they probably already knew him as like violent or volatile because that's all drunks. But I totally get it. And I feel like that's probably the uncle was like, he'll probably kill you first.
Yeah.
Let's just call the police.
Oh, Theo Robert, I guess. Thank you.
Right thing to do. Like, we'll never say that that's not the right thing to do. Absolutely the right thing to do. But yeah, there's just that tiny little hindsight thing that makes me feel even worse for Roxanne.
I know.
But it's just it's an unknowable. It's an uncontrollable.
Yep.
Paul and his uncle did the right thing. They raced to the nearest gas station to call the police, which again, is like, there's no cell phones at this time.
Yeah.
You had to go somewhere to find a landline, call the police, and then wait. Again, credit to these people. They kept driving by the house waiting for the police to get there so that they can like go in together. But unfortunately, dispatch called it a domestic trouble. So it wasn't taking as urgently as it should have. It took Deputy Morphy, who we talked about earlier, about a half an hour to get there. He had been on a call and he finished that up and then he headed over. But at this point, they saw that Singleton had moved his van further into the carport. The back doors were now closed and the side ones were open. Singleton's neighbor secured the barking dog, because Singleton had a dog, secured him in the backyard, and then the deputy went in and knocked on the carport door. So this is like the door in the garage that leads into the house. Singleton came out and he immediately closed the door behind him. He was wearing a pair of shorts with the fly undone. Some reports say that his like dick was just hanging out.
Yeah. Ugh, gross.
He had an unbuttoned shirt. His shirt was unbuttoned. So he's just like super disheveled, like quickly put on this pieces of clothing. And the deputy said that he could see blood and scratches on his stomach and that he reeked of alcohol. So he was still just like drunk. And Singleton told the deputy that he had a spat with his girlfriend and that she was inside and she was fine. And the deputy could just go. Like, this is just a regular stupid argument. You can go away. And I mean, luckily the deputy didn't listen to that. He wrote in his report that he saw Singleton was like jittery, he was nervous, he was bouncing around, and he was jabbering. So there was this like crazy manic energy. And the deputy thankfully saw that as a red flag. It was like, something is wrong.
Yes, so glad.
And he asked Singleton, how did he get that cut on his stomach? Because there was blood and scratches on his stomach. And Singleton said he was cutting turnips.
Was he cutting turnips on his titties? That was his cutting board?
I'm
Like,
just
what the
like,
fuck?
I'm not from the time, but like turnips? That seems like such a weird specific thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good one. Good
It's
one,
a
Larry.
stupid excuse, like,
Very.
Yeah, good one, Larry. So while the deputy's talking to him, before he can ask more questions, the phone inside the house rang. And I found out this later. So Paul and his uncle actually called Larry's sister and told them what they saw. And that's who was calling the house. It was Larry's sister trying to call Larry, like, what the fuck did you do? And that's why the phone was ringing.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very weird one because, like, they were waiting for the police. Paul and his uncle were waiting for the police to come, and they called his sister, like, hey, something's wrong with Paul. Or, sorry, something's wrong with Singleton. But yeah, that's who called. And Singleton went inside the house to try and answer the phone, but he didn't close the door all of the way. So it was just like a little bit open, and through the gap, the Deputy Morphy, he saw a woman's foot on the floor, like bloodied, and he pushed the door open a little bit wider, and he saw just like most of the naked, bloodied body of Roxanne lying on the floor, not moving, not breathing. So Deputy Morphy ran back out to his car to call backup and an ambulance. While he was doing that, Singleton came out of the house, approached the police car, just, I don't know, maybe trying to get his story straight. But Deputy Morphy told him, like, look, I saw what's in your house. And he cuffed him and put him in the back of the car, thankfully.
Once backup arrived, Deputy Morphy and Deputy Brown made a protective sweep of the house. EMS checked on Roxanne, but unfortunately she was dead at the scene. They also checked Singleton, who complained about chest pains from cutting turnips on his stomach, but was determined to be fine and lucid and coherent somehow, which will be important at his trial later, so put a pin in that.
No, like, lucid and coherent is very important.
Yeah.
That he knew what was happening, he knew what he was being accused of, like,
exactly.
Very important.
Deputy Brown was present while Singleton was examined and wrote in his report that Singleton said, quote, "We had an argument and she threw something at me, so I killed her. And I guess that makes me a murderer, so you've got me now." His rambling continued. The deputy also wrote in his report that Singleton said, quote, "Last time I was framed, but this time I did it." How, like, morbid, but also, like, you think this is, whatever.
No, it's so fucked up because it was like, this is the narrative that he created in his head to try and excuse his behavior.
Yeah.
And it comes up in, like, Mary Vincent's case in the like hearing afterwards. In this case, in the hearing after that, like, he just always was trying to push the blame off himself,
or trying to feel like he was like one step ahead of them. Like, oh, they'll definitely fall for this.
Oh, like trying. Oh, okay, yeah, like trying to be like, I'm too smart for them. That's a whole different thing. I don't know if he was that kind of criminal.
Oh, I fucking doubt it. I highly fucking doubt it.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I don't know if he was that kind of criminal, but I think there's part of it of, like, he truly believed he was the victim.
Sure. Or that he could be in control.
Yeah.
So, according to the coroner's report, Roxanne was stabbed 7 times, 6 to the torso and 1 to the face. 1 stab to the chest perforated a ventricle in her heart, and another went through her liver. He noted that any of these stab wounds would have been fatal without immediate medical attention. There were also defensive wounds on Roxanne's arms and hands. 3 fingers on one hand were sliced so deeply they were almost to the bone.
Like, I'm not very squeamish, but that makes me squeamish.
Yes.
Just the idea of it ripping that deeply. Oof.
And that, that takes, like, a lot of force too.
But also just, like, trying to imagine the pain, like...
Oh my God. On top of everything else
the pain
that she was enduring.
But also trying to fight. Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's such a great fact in her defense, Like,
yeah,
this shows that she was trying to defend herself.
Yeah. So clearly this was indicative of an injury consistent with her trying to grab the knife by the blade. Her body had been moved from the couch and out of sight of the windows. A toxicology report further found traces of cocaine, but noted that it didn't play a significant role in the incident because she could have taken it hours or a day before. So that is also important for the trial, so please remember that. And on that note, let's get into the court case.
Yes, good, because I have some wild speculations to get to, and I say that sarcastically.
Singleton's defense this time was in two parts. First, that he suffered from dementia. That bastard was 69 years old at this point. They argued that he couldn't fully understand his actions or the right and wrong of them. However, this is rebutted by physical evidence. He had moved the body, which we'd said. He hid the weapon and attempted to cover up for himself. And that's all indicative of the fact that he knew he was wrong. Even the doctors who treated Singleton earlier that month made no mention of any impairment. And here comes another fucking killer part. The reason that Singleton was hospitalized is because he tried to kill himself in the carport. He installed a tube from the tailpipe that ran into the car, and a passing neighbor pulled him out. This is often reported as yet another failure of the system. This man was suicidal, a heavy alcoholic, and had a prior history of violence, but they let him sign himself out after 3 fucking days. That's also what makes me believe that he feels like he could be in control, that he could further manipulate things.
Well, absolutely. That made him feel like he was in control. It's like, where he's like, no matter what I do, I can still do what I want.
Oh my God.
It's just like, but it's like the state of mental health practices at the time. Like, he tried to kill himself. He has a history of being an alcoholic. He has a history, and he has his like legal record of him and like committing violent crimes.
Right.
And they were just like, it's fine. If he's feeling okay and wants to sign out, cool.
There really should be like a third party that comes in and like truly evaluates. Like 3 days, there's no fucking way. There's no right or reason for him to be released.
3 days, I don't think a patient should be able to sign themselves out. I don't think 3 days is enough time for them to like come to their senses and like make a rational decision. Like that seems insane.
So the second point to their defense was eerily similar to what he has said during his appeal of Mary Vincent's case. He had picked up a, quote, disturbed alcoholic and a cocaine-using prostitute who then attacked him and tried to steal his wallet. Once again, he claimed that a woman was victimizing him and that his violence was justified. But this, once again, was just a stupid, misogynistic argument. Roxanne was reduced to just being some prostitute. It's the repeated dehumanization of women, and especially sex workers, which, like, that has to fucking stop.
Yes, completely agree. But also just historically, with this particular person, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Every time he tried to make himself the victim, that like some woman, some prostitute took advantage of him and he was just a bystander. Like, it's very disgusting. And it's the same thing he did with Mary Vincent. So it's just, why would anybody buy it? Why would anybody even listen to that shit?
I mean, these women already deal with enough. Like, do you really like it? And I'm sure that some are fully capable of like taking advantage of a John and making the situation so much more worse than it should be.
No, and my answer is always like, is what she did enough to justify you fucking killing her? Like, that's always the answer. It's like, yeah, she conned you, she stole your shit. Like, I still don't think that's enough.
No.
To warrant you murdering her in such a violent, horrible way.
No fucking way. Not a chance.
You know? So, yeah. So it was like, I don't care that like, oh, she stole from you or she tricked you into this hotel room or she stole all your things. Like, it does not excuse you what you did.
No.
Because it's 10 times worse. So that's kind of what I feel about this. And same with Mary Vincent. How I felt about this in Mary Vincent, because he was like, oh, well, Mary Vincent was a whore. And she, like, me and 2 other people paid for sex with her. But it still somehow excused the violence that happened to her. I was like, absolutely not. And then you're like trying to punish one bad with another bad, you know? Like,
right. Fucking rot in hell, Larry. Rot in fucking hell.
Fucking Larry. And like, and they shouldn't believe Larry, because this is literally the exact same thing that he did 20 years ago to another young lady. Okay, we'll get into that. Let's keep it going. Yeah, I'm like, we have a whole section for this. And right now I want to go over Singleton's alleged story about how he met Roxanne, because there was this whole narrative that him and his lawyers created about Roxanne that could not be refuted. If that makes sense, because Roxanne is dead. So she couldn't stand there and say, like, this is not what happened. So they created this entire narrative. Singleton claimed that he had picked up Roxanne multiple times because, you know, she's doing her sex work. He had paid for oral sex and they had become friends. He said that she would come over to his house and he would cook dinner for her. And he said that that's what they were doing on the day of her murder. He had brought her over to his house to cook dinner for her. But he said that to this random time, Roxanne decided to steal his wallet. So he killed her. Like, that's literally what he said. He's like, she tries to steal my wallet, so I killed her. Like, there was no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is also like the established narrative in court cases in history. Like, everyone has accepted that this is the truth, and I do not.
No.
You know, everyone's saying that Roxanne left her house in the morning to go get groceries, that she ran into Singleton and wanted to, quote, turn a quick trick. But this is like the narrative that was accepted. It just felt such bullshit. This was something that Singleton and his lawyers came up with. Because it doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't make sense. She went to buy groceries for her family and then she saw Singleton. It was like, oh, I can make some quick money.
Right. It doesn't fit anything.
It's weird. I'm like, it could happen, but that's weird. Like, it doesn't make sense. And an investigator later said, so it was an investigator on her case, said that it was unusual for a professional to go to the home of a John, which is exactly what I would think. And another local sex worker, a friend of Roxanne, said, you don't think a 70-year-old man is going to stab you to death. And that quote is important. And I brought this up last episode, and I'm bringing it up here. I heard that his age came up a lot. In the Mary Vincent's case, and in here, they said that he was just kind of an innocent old man. And they like, how could he do something so horrible?
Right.
And like, the two crimes are 20 years apart. So he was 20 years older when he killed Roxanne, but they were using the same excuse that they used 20 years before. And it's one of those things, like, it's in the 80s. It was a white man protected by his whiteness and his age. And this is also very common in that era for serial killers. Like, all the serial killers in this era kept getting away with shit because they were just like super charming white men and nobody distrusted them.
Yep.
Or nobody thought that they could do something horrible because they were charming white men.
Oh my God.
Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Perfect example. Ted Bundy.
Perfect.
There was so much evidence against him, but people were like, oh, but he's so charming and nice. No way he killed all these women.
Look at the head of hair.
Except he like smashed a woman's face in with a log.
Oh my God.
Fuck that shit. But that's what happened with this guy. And I'm saving it for a section later of, I think he was very underestimated. I think he was very much like, oh, because he's 50, because he's 70, he couldn't have done something so horrible.
And we've seen it so many times now where, like, serial killers, or any perpetrator that is of a certain age, their defense team tries to put them in the wheelchair and gives them the really baggy clothes, and they look like they've lost weight. So they look very of diminished capacity. So it's like, let's get sympathy from the public and the jury, and let's frame him as this way. Like, I'm not saying that was their motive then, or that's what they chose to do, but like, it's that cycle's, it's never been different.
I will say that I feel like that's exactly what his lawyers went for. Just playing up this like fragile old man. He couldn't have done anything wrong, even though he's accused of the exact same fucking thing.
Clear across the country too. And maybe part of like his Larry's mindset was like, essentially, like, he got away with it. He barely served any fucking time.
For Mary Vincent? Absolutely.
Yes. He didn't
barely serve time. And then he still stalked her after he got out.
I think,
it wasn't a clean cut. He was still like, I'm going to try and kill you.
that just leads me to like also believe that he felt like because it was 120 years apart, he got basically got away with it the first time. And now this time around, like, there's no way that they're going to connect the two. There's no way that California and Florida are going to talk and that these two are going to be like intertwined and he'll be found out to like be who he truly is.
But I also feel like he thought he didn't do anything wrong the first time. That
Very
he was
that.
like the victim. I feel like he truly believed that he was the victim.
Well, and I think that's the perfect time to mention that like the public in California did not agree. When Singleton was released from a sentence for Mary Vincent, the system tried placing him in different communities in Southern California. There was a huge uproar each time, and Singleton was forced out. This happened 6 times. And Singleton was forced to live in a trailer on the prison grounds, which I love.
Yes, I agree. But I also feel like there should have been some different action if like 6 communities were like, fuck no, we're not taking him.
There should have definitely been like a little more of an investigation and maybe just permanently like displacing him, which they eventually do. But to that point, he later moved to Florida, and all the people around him, knowing him now as Bill, thought he was that quiet old man that he's played himself up to be. They didn't believe him capable of violence. They went as far as believing Singleton's story that he was framed for the crime against Mary Vincent. And speaking of which, our brave fighter Mary Vincent, she came out of hiding after hearing about Roxanne and flew to Florida to testify against his ass.
Hell yeah.
Yes, pop all the confetti.
Absolutely.
She knew that he had to be locked up for the rest of his fucking life, and she so bravely sat on the stand and told her story again. Now this time, Singleton was found guilty. He received the death penalty, but unfortunately, like the fucking cockroach he is, he died before his execution from cancer in 2001.
I'm like, when do you feel regretful that someone died of cancer? It's like,
right.
I wanted you to suffer.
Yeah. Cancer like, wasn't enough for this
weird. one. No. And like, it wasn't answering for his crimes. It was just
at all.
I don't know. It seems like an exit, an escape.
I hope he was denied all of his medical facilities and attention and remediation for everything that cancer did to him. And I hope it was so uncomfortable for him.
Just pain to the end.
Yes. Well, now I think it's time for some armchair speculation, which is a segment here on Your Next where we can put on our tinfoil hats and speculate wildly about today's case.
Okay. My first point that I kind of mentioned this before to you, that I think that Larry Singleton was a fucking serial killer and nobody seriously looked into him. He had a method, he had an MO. The truck that he used to kidnap Mary Vincent was rigged to make sure that somebody couldn't get out. That tells me that it was planned. That tells me he had experience. Mm-hmm. That it was very, what do they call it? Organized crime.
Yes.
It was an organized crime because he knew exactly what to look for. Yeah. And I feel like he was always sold as this like opportunistic man or some old fuck who didn't know what he was doing. So that's always been my big thing. I feel like nobody investigated him thoroughly enough. I don't think Mary Vincent was the first. And then 20 years later, he did the exact same fucking thing to this person, Roxanne Hayes. So I don't know. I feel like there was a missed opportunity and nobody really actually looked into him.
Now, do you think there were any more victims in between those 20 years? Or do you truly think that he was cold?
No, I think there had to be victims because part of my wild speculation is that I do not believe any of his story. Mm-hmm. I don't think he knew Roxanne. If anything, maybe he paid for her services once. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were friends. I don't think she willingly went to his house. There was this whole thing about the van that was like not parked all the way in. The back doors were open. I think he met her at the grocery store or saw her or had been stalking her, loaded her into his van with the intention of doing this, and took her back to his apartment. I do not believe that Roxanne knew him. I do not believe Roxanne willingly went to his home. And again, that entire narrative is just from him and his lawyers.
Right.
There is no evidence to support that that's exactly what happened. And like everybody who knew Roxanne was like, she would not have gone to some trick's house. So that's always been my big thing, that I think that he found her, tricked her, knocked her out something, but got her back to his house. And then he did all those things to her, instead of this whole narrative that like, oh, we were friends and I cooked her food and then she tried to steal my wallet. So I fucking murdered her viciously. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. And it was the same thing with Mary Vincent, where I think he already had an MO. Like he had a another serial killer thing. He had a victim profile. He was kidnapping lonely people he thought were sex workers who had no one looking for them. So I truly believe he was a serial killer. And he tricked Roxanne, either forcibly got her to his house and did these things to her.
Do you think and now it's known that Roxanne did have a history of drug abuse, but do you think the cocaine in her system was administered by him as like a way of subduing her and getting her into the car, maybe?
So the cocaine
or something or something that he like enticed her with into getting her to come with him, and it wasn't like as violent as...
I honestly would want to dismiss the cocaine bit, because the coroner, the medical examiner, said that the cocaine was old. It wasn't that she was on cocaine when she was killed, but she did it in like a day or two beforehand.
Right.
So I can believe that. She did it a day or two beforehand, but she wasn't on cocaine and it didn't contribute to
her death.
The situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think lawyers saw that and they're like, okay, we can paint her as a cocaine doing prostitute. Like it just to destroy like her character. And you know, like people do crazy things on cocaine, but it still doesn't excuse you murdering her. You know, like
not at all.
Even if she was trying to steal your wallet, you should not be trying to kill her, rape her, choke her, all of these things that he did to her. Especially as a perpetrator with a violent history of doing the exact same thing to somebody else.
Now, why would he... There's such a stark difference in obviously the location and the demeanor in which everything happened between Mary and Roxanne. Why would he take Roxanne back to his place? Why would he not go somewhere in a swamp of Florida? Why would he not like drive off into another canyon?
Okay, I have two things on this. One, confidence. I would say that he felt confident that he can get away with it if he went back to his house. And two, it's very well documented that he was a raging alcoholic. Like he was out of control doing these things. You know, so I don't think he was like truly in his right state of mind, but you know, he has this method that took over in doing this. And I feel like because he had gotten away with it before, that he felt like he could do no wrong. And he can just, again, like even when Deputy Morphy showed up, we were just having a fight. You can go home. It's fine.
Right.
He truly believed that was enough. And it might have been if, I don't know, the phone didn't ring and Deputy Morphy didn't see the foot.
The foot, yeah.
Because I can't say with 100% that I believe... Like I don't know. I mean, this is a stretch, and I will admit that. But I was like, I feel like if Deputy Morphy did not see the foot, he would have just left.
Oh yeah,
he would have just been like, oh yeah, drunk dude.
I don't think that's much of a stretch.
Had a spat with his wife or girlfriend, and he would have left. And then, you know, this wouldn't have happened. They would have found Roxanne's body way later, and nobody would connect it.
And especially if Larry was a little bit more coherent and wasn't so jittery and jabbering and everything, I think if those other factors weren't part of it too, once Deputy Morphy got there, absolutely. He would have just said, like, all right, y'all have a good night. Like, please be safe. Maybe separate yourselves for a little bit.
No, and what bothers me is, like, Deputy Morphy didn't do anything. So he saw a woman's foot lying on the ground, a body not breathing, and he went back to his car to call for backup. And then Singleton came out to try and talk to him, and he's like, I saw the body, please get into the back of the car. It just felt very much like he wasn't trying to arrest somebody. He was just like, I saw something, and we're going to figure it out, but like, get in the back of this car.
He had kid gloves on with Singleton.
Yeah. I was like, this is a horrible murderer. Yes. And you were just like, look, I saw something bad. I need you to sit in the back of this car. It did. I mean, that's what the report reads like. I don't know if that's exactly what happened. But for the time period and everything, I feel like that's exactly what it was, where he was like, not sure, but we're going to put you in the back of this car. Because I always think about, this is the one that always comes back to me, is Jeffrey Dahmer. I can't remember his victim's name. Oh, that's terrible. I'll have to look it up. But he had one victim. He was of Asian descent. He had already drilled a hole into his head and done his whole thing. But he escaped. And he got out onto the street and he ran into police and was telling them exactly what happened to him. But Jeffrey Dahmer came out, was really charming, and said, like, oh, he's just drunk, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And the police said, okay, fine. Take him back inside and, like, have a good night. That's always what I think about. Charming, charismatic white guy convinced the police that, like, nothing's wrong.
His name was Conoric Synthasamphone?
Yes.
Something along those lines. Poor baby was 17, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Tiny little baby gay who met this man at a club, drugged him, and did all these awful things. But yeah, he managed to escape, but Jeffrey Dahmer convinced police that he's just drunk and like
charming white man.
And then he took him back to his apartment, murdered him, and ate him, whatever his horrible thing was. But that's always what I think about. And same thing with what's his name? Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Where people thought he was just like too nice and too like handsome to have been a murderer.
Because he had a cast on his arm. There's no way that he could have actually caused harm.
But that's how I feel about Singleton, that his age kept protecting him that way, because we heard it in Mary's Vincent case, which was 20 years before Roxanne. Even Mary Vincent was like, oh, well, he's an old man in his 50s. He reminds me of my grandpa. He can't possibly be dangerous. But of course he was. And then same thing happened later when he killed Roxanne. 20 years later, he was almost 70 or 80. No, 70. 70. He was almost 70. And the same thing of like, oh, you don't think a 7-year-old man is going to murder you.
Right.
It's just,
fuck.
I don't know. It just, I don't want to like make this a bigger issue, but it's just like, what if he wasn't white? What if he wasn't a cute old man? Like,
he wasn't even cute. He was just fucking old. He framed himself as being frail and he couldn't help himself.
Yeah. And like even Paul and his uncle were like, he's just an old man who's drunk and lonely and miserable.
Do you think there's a factor here of like the lack of police education or training around domestic disputes and like responding to them? Like, I think now we see a lot more of, okay, well, you're saying it's a domestic dispute. I would like I'm coming in to either talk to your wife or you bring her out here and I really need to check on her. Or is that really reaching?
No, I don't think it's reaching. I just think it's there's so much going into that answer, because I'm not 100% sure how it is now, but like in the time of Singleton and right after, I think it was very much racial. That it was white cops investigating white perpetrators, that gave those perpetrators a lot of fucking freedom and a lot of leeway to lie and get away with shit. I have to say that, like, I don't think if like a black serial killer did the things that Ted Bundy did, they
Mhm.
would have given him so much leeway or would have
Right.
believed him as much. Yeah. It's the same thing with Singleton. Like, I don't think if he wasn't like a white old man in Florida that he would have gotten so much benefit of the doubt, because that's what he got. He got benefit of the doubt that like, oh, he's just old or he's drunk. And obviously this prostitute who's on cocaine tried to rob from him and he defended himself. Like, that's sounds insane to us, but like it made sense then. It made sense to the cops who identified with this old man.
That was a great armchair speculation corner.
Yeah. Tinfoil hat. Go on forever. It's not that far-fetched.
Right. Right. No, not at all. Well, I think now we can all take our hats off, set them aside until next week's episode, or just go.
Absolutely.
Actually, if you still have your tinfoil hat on, maybe you sleep in it. It protects your hair. Go into the Q&A section in Spotify and let's further this conversation.
Yeah. Tell us what you think about this. Tell us what you think about serial killers getting preferential treatment. Okay. So let's bring this back to our incredible victims. As we said before, Mary Vincent, who's fucking badass extraordinaire, she became a fierce advocate for victims' rights after what happened to her. And she came back for this trial to make sure that people knew what kind of person he was. In 2000, Congress passed Aimee's Law, which is a part of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act. And it was named after Aimee Willard, a college student who was raped and murdered by a man who had previously been convicted of murder and then released on early parole. Does that sound familiar? That's exactly what happened with Mr. Singleton. And then while it's named for Aimee Willard, the law is often cited with connection with the murder of Roxanne and Mary Vincent's case, because that's exactly the kind of person that committed these crimes to both of these women. And Aimee's Law was heavily influenced by the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which offered federal grants to the states that required violent offenders to serve at least 85% of their prison sentences. So basically, it held states accountable if they granted early release to a very violent offender who later on went on to commit the same kind of crime. Murder, rape, child molestation in another state or within the same state. But so this law basically was kind of a penalty checkbox of like, if they do that in another state, your state is going to pay for that. It's going to pay for like the legal proceedings, is going to pay the victim, blah, blah,
which
blah.
in theory like sounds great, I guess. I mean, it's like holding their feet to the fire.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of the purpose of this thing. It was meant to like push state governments to impose harsher laws. So if like you have a very violent offender, you should sentence them to something worse, or like make sure they don't get out. And then if you don't do that and they commit another crime, you're going to have to pay for it along with them. So like, I think it made sense in that way. Yeah, but I don't know if it completed what it set out to do.
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's something that sounded great again in theory, but who's really truly gonna keep measure on all of this? Who is making sure that all of this is followed through?
It wasn't actual legislation, So it was like, it was encouraging states to impose harsher laws instead of actually forcing states to impose harsher sentences.
In practice, however, Aimee's Law appears to have had little measurable impacts, although its provisions were designed to pressure states into adopting stricter sentencing and parole practices. There are no publicly documented cases of states receiving reimbursement under the law. Most states argued that it was impractical and impossible to track expenses in this way. They also had an issue with funds being transferred. In 2005, it was amended into a grant application process. And as a result, while Aimee's Law stands as a symbolic effort to hold states accountable for prematurely releasing violent offenders, its real-world application has been minimal, and its deterrent effect is difficult to quantify. Mary Vincent had trouble procuring any helping funds from laws like this. She pointed out the deep flaws in the system. And in her case, under the California Victims of Crime Act, attorneys could only claim a maximum of $500 in fees, discouraging them from taking on cases like hers. And similarly, civil judgments against violent offenders were often meaningless since most offenders had no financial means to pay. Victims were left with little to no help. Insurance companies wouldn't cover them, families often couldn't help, and the government just didn't step in, which is like further detriment to everything that they went through.
Absolutely. No, it was like none of these things were actually protected the victims. Because yeah, like even Mary Vincent, she filed a civil lawsuit. She got a $1.2 million settlement that she never saw any money for because, of course, Singleton can't pay for that shit. So like she got nothing. And no, I find it crazy that like this whole law went into effect. It has a name. It was out there. But like literally nobody has ever gotten any money from it. Like that's fucking useless.
I gotta say though, like at least there is, I mean, this precedent of Aimee's Law has been around for quite some time now. But again, as you said, it just hasn't really done any good.
Yeah, because it's still basically up to stuff like me and you doing this podcast of like pointing this out. Because legally, there has been no change. Legally, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe we can submit a grant to this state for releasing this person early. Like, this doesn't help the person that was murdered.
No.
Like, or the victims, like Mary Vincent. Like, she never had any money. She never got any help. And in fact, like, states fought against her to make sure she didn't get any money.
She had to make her own prosthetics. Like, fucking hell.
Like, I never wanted someone to beat cancer more than Singleton. Like, I want you to beat cancer and suffer.
Yes. Oh,
for
that's
4
such a great
years.
point.
Thus, we finally arrive at the end of our long and sad but hopeful tale of Mary Vincent and Roxanne Hayes. These cases, Mary Vincent and Roxanne Hayes, demonstrated that the enduring tensions between the criminal justice procedures and victims' rights is always fraught with conflict.
Yes.
Singleton's repeated violence, repeated offenses exposed a weakness in the laws around parole and sentencing and protecting survivors. But focusing on Mary and Roxanne, their bravery and their legacies helped spark some critical reform, however flawed it is, and just stricter oversight over repeated offenders, which you hear all the time, of like repeated offenders getting like really small sentences and then coming out and then doing it again. So like helping make that better. And their stories remind us that while the law seeks fairness for all, it is often the courage of the victims that drives meaningful change in how justice is defined and delivered. It's people like Mary Vincent who have to fight back against literally everything to make meaningful change.
Well, I want to repeat Mary Vincent's message to the world. She said, quote, "The message I want to send is for everyone to stop. Stop long enough to care. We become so detached from ourselves and everyone else. We don't realize that someone can be hurt or in trouble. You don't know, so why wait until you lose it? Stop long enough to care." Which, oh, Mary again with the fucking, like, the right things to say.
But it just like speaks to her character because like
It does.
at this point you're still saying this. Like I would not have done this. I would have been very bitter and very negative.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I feel so sad and at a great loss for words for Roxanne's family. I know it's been quite some time, but you truly, there's no way to move on from anything like this, no matter how much. I hope that us getting her name out there and actually getting Roxanne's case out there really does some good because there is a huge lack of presence with her case. A lot of it just stops at Mary Vincent and it doesn't go any further, which is truly disappointing. I hope we did some good.
Yeah. No, and I think that was the big thing with every quote I saw from her family, especially Clifford. Like, we don't want her to be... Like, we don't want the definition of Roxanne to be a prostitute who got murdered.
That was tough.
So that was a tough one. That was a very tough one.
That was our first two-parter. I'm sure one of many, many to come.
As do you have any? We can talk about anything for so long.
Yeah, especially once we have a cocktail or two in our hands. Well, thank you for tuning in for another week, another case. We really want to hear from you, so please again sound off in the Q&A on Spotify, slide into our DMs on Instagram or TikTok. We're also on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm like, you got my handle now, just like send me all your crazy comments. I'm into it.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll catch you on the flip side next week.
All right, goodbye everybody, and be careful out there, or you're next.
Happy spooky season. Bye. Oh, I'm so excited.
I can go on forever on this. Yeah, I can go on forever.
Oh. Too much excitement.
I talk with my hands and hit things.
You must be gay.
Yeah. Jazz hands.
Those aren't spirit fingers.
These are spirit fingers. Kristen Wiig on the plane. That's me. That was me. Like, I've toned it down now, but that was me. It's like, no. There's the colonial woman on the wing.
It's just turning
and then
butter.
Just getting really, really high and drunk. She's turning butter, and then going to the front of the plane, like, this is segregation. This is the 90s. I'm like moving that little curtain.
What is your name? Stove. What are you, an appliance?
I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to bring out like a special guest. I was like, what?
Right.
That face is saying
something. No, special guest. Da-da-da. Bonus points for punny costumes.
What?
Like, think.
Punny. Oh, punny.
Costume. Punny.
Oh, they said pawnee. Like, I was like, pawnee. Like,
Burgers.